Cannery Row is one of those films that grows on you. When I first walked out of the theater, the excitement for the picture just wasn't there. But the more I think about it, the better I like it. The film is based on John Steinbeck's romantic novel about the goings-on in a noisy Monterey waterfront. Set in the 1940s, Cannery Row is made up of a strange but likable group of people. At the center is Doc, a self-employed marine biologist, very well played by Nick Nolte. He's about the sanest person in town. Doc works hard and doesn't really bother anyone, and on occasion goes out with one of the town floozies, as they're called. One intriguing thing about Doc is his mysterious past, and the local bums are his closest friends. One day, Susie, a vivacious drifter, comes to town. She's played by a pretty Deborah Winger. She gets a job at the local bordello, headed by Audrey Lindley. And after meeting Doc, a very unusual relationship begins to form. They argue, laugh, and break up several times. What's funny is that all of this is normal routine in Cannery Row. The interest between the two grows. Here, Deborah Winger is asking Doc about his work, and as usual, what starts out as an interesting conversation turns into an argument.
Hell, I don't know about all this stuff. It's pretty funny business, unborn things and all that.
There are funnier businesses.
Well, I guess you'd be talking about my business now. You don't like my business, do you?
It doesn't matter whether I like your business or not, does it? I mean, it's there, isn't it? I just think it's kind of a sad substitute for love.
Oh, and what do you got, mister? Bugs, snakes? Look at this dump. It stinks. You ain't even got a decent suit of clothes. Yeah. I bet you can't remember when your last hot meal was. You sit here reading starfish, for Christ's sake.
Sea urchins.
What the hell do you think that's a substitute for, huh?
Wait. I do what I want, I live the way I want, and I'm free. Now, do you get that? I'm free, and I do what I want.
Well, who'd want to do this stuff anyway?
Well, who'd want to go to bed with anybody that's got $3?
Maybe somebody who needs the $3. And it seems to me I heard something about you writing some great big damn highfalutin paper.
Who told you that?
Don't look at me. I didn't say anything to her. Cannery Row is like the movie Night Crossing in that the first hour is slow, but the pace is picked up in the second half. One character who steals a lot of the scenes is Hazel, extremely well portrayed by Frank McRae. Hazel's one of the derelicts and takes everything literally. He gets Doc and Susie back together at the film's end, although his technique is a little awkward but very well intended. Winger and Nolte work well together. They provide interesting portrayals of their characters. The set designs are very good, as is John Huston's narration, which adds a special touch to the film. So, what do you say?
I'll have to think about it.
Don't think about it, just go. I'm Dean O'Lally. Nothing is more irritating. It's going to be a it's going to be a long day, isn't it, folks? Okay. As I said earlier, add the following ingredients: good actors, and then it tries to be different, original, and and even if you're not, you'll enjoy it. So pull this low-life celluloid out of the dirt. What is Caligula? Ah! And it's difficult not to get it cut up. Oh, you're lousy. And even if you're not, you'll enjoy. Bottom pennies from heaven does have its flaws. May a camel with a weak kidney find your parked car? How's that? Medic. Pennies from heaven does have its flaws, but I don't think they're. Sorry. Does have its flaws, but I don't. Does that beat all you have ever seen? It's based on two athletes working to compete, get a movie that doesn't... I can't even read it when it's right in front of me. His early career as a political cartoonist for the Los Angeles Free Press during the turbulent 60s gave little indication of the future that lay ahead for him in movies. Highly regarded for his cartoons and his unique space-oriented paintings, his work attracted the attention of George Lucas, who asked Cobb to create some characters for his film Star Wars. Cobb's cast, seen in the film's cantina sequence, became some of the most memorable moments in the entire movie. Cobb next was selected to serve as production designer for the film Alien.
for which he created the look of the entire movie. Sets, costumes, characters, the works. Now, here in Spain, Cobb is production designer for the forthcoming Conan the Barbarian, a film with a unique challenge since the story takes place before the days of recorded history, a time with no guidelines to go by.
I think that's one of the things that drew me into drawing and painting, is to go after those things and to make something that we can't see seeable, you know.
Those who know him say he's an absolute genius, but Ron Cobb thinks of himself more like a little boy turned loose with full permission to go wild.
It gives me an opportunity to go mad, you know, and also, you know, it's topped off with the fact that a great deal of money is thrown my way so we can actually build it, you know, so it's wonderful.
Although rarely recognized by the public for his contributions, much of the responsibility for the future success or failure of this $20 million movie rests squarely on his shoulders. He's the man with the mad mind named Ron Cobb. I'm Dean O'Lally.
Bad direction and extremely slow pacing make the border of film, well, you should have to cross over to see it. Under a different director, the film might have worked. It's too late now, and it's sad, too, because all the performances are very good, particularly Jack Nicholson's. For the first time in many moons, he plays a good guy. Charlie Smith is his name, a U.S. immigration officer or border patrol guard. He's caught in the middle, right on one side and wrong on the other. He's got problems at work and at home. The latter is caused by his wife, played by Valerie Perrine. She's nice, but her lifestyle can't keep up with Nicholson's paycheck. First of all, they're in a house they can't afford. Then she buys a waterbed, then a sofa, and a pool, as in swimming. Next-door neighbor Harvey Keitel is also a Border Patrol guard. It's their job to keep Mexicans from crossing over into the United States. At work, Nicholson sees the corruption of his co-workers, Keitel, and the head of the guards, played by Warren Oates. After being honest for a while, the burden of Perrine's spending habits become too much for Nicholson, so he decides to go along with some of the corruption for some extra bucks. But Nicholson's honesty and compassion return when a Mexican girl's baby is kidnapped to be sold for adoption. He takes it upon himself to find the baby and return it to its mother, played by Elpidia Carrero. Everyone in the movie also has sunglasses. It's nice, just to get into the mood. After what seems an eternity, Nicholson catches up with the man who stole the baby.
Who'd you sell the baby to?
I'll never tell.
I can take you to him.
I'd advise you do so.
We haven't sold him yet. He's okay.
The movie's not.
Baby's okay.
The movie is not.
I was waiting for a good home for him.
You need to be in a home.
Charlie, rich people pay 25 grand for a baby like that. You and me, we could cut a deal.
Let's go.
And go they do. Too bad it's not fast enough. An otherwise very competent director, Tony Richardson, let the border go down the drain. The last 20 minutes is the only part of the film that contains any action at all. The rest of it, boring and slow. When I walked out of the theater, I felt as if I had been in there for 2 or 3 days. I'm Dean O'Lally. People go to the movies for many reasons. To be entertained, to learn something, to laugh, maybe to cry. But curiosity is one of the biggest reasons, and Making Love is one of those curious films.
Yeah, I'm curious. So what?
Nothing, it's just that that's about the only thing going for it. The subject matter is controversial. It's about homosexuality. Hollywood, for the most part, has avoided that theme. There have been other films which have dealt with it. The Boys in the Band, Sunday, Bloody Sunday, and Cruising. In Making Love, you've got a happily married couple, successful, Michael Onkeen and Kate Jackson. He's a doctor, and she's a television executive. They've been married for 8 years and truly appear to be happy. They have a lot going for them. Onkeen's repressed feelings begin to emerge, though, periodically. He finally meets Harry Hamlin, a successful writer, a gay writer. Onkeen confides in Hamlin and ever so slowly gets the information he's looking for.
Tell me about your mysteries, my friend. How much longer are you going to wait?
Wait? No, life's too short to play games.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the eyes, the probing, the impulse to have dinner. After a while, you develop an instinct, Doc. You want to talk about it?
Meanwhile, back at home, Anki knows his marriage is finished. One night, Kate Jackson finally gets fed up with the silent treatment and gets his attention to talk with him.
All right, look, we're going to cut this out and we're going to talk. You cannot do this to me. It's not fair. Now, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to hold you. I don't know whether I should even try to hold you. Look, whatever it is, I can handle it. I can handle it no matter what it is. But I cannot handle the silence.
She doesn't handle the news very well or silently. Hamlin can't stand the idea of commitment, something Ankeen wants. They have their arguments, and from there we see Ankeen battling his problems, searching for solutions. As it turns out, Jackson remarries, Ankeen finally gets his life back in order, and they meet after a couple of years, which turns out to be one of the film's best scenes. But I'm not going to recommend Making Love because it seems stale to me. It didn't tell me anything. I felt as if the filmmakers presented the theme and then left it. They don't really take it anywhere. The same goes for the acting, drab and uneventful. Except maybe for Kate Jackson, she did provide an interesting role as the person in the middle. With emotion lacking and stale writing, Making Love, which is a misleading title, doesn't furnish much of anything. I'm Dean O'Lally. Nothing is more irritating. It's going to be it's going to be a long day, isn't it, folks? Okay. As I said earlier, as I said, and then it tries to be different, original, and how's that for coordination? Add the following ingredients: good actors, So if you're one of them good old boys, and even if you're not, you'll enjoy it. So
What we got here ain't perfection, but we're headed in the right direction.
Music writer Barry Mann and lyricist Cynthia Wiles' career spans 21 years as a songwriting team and as husband and wife. After some 250 published songs, Barry is still mystified by the elusive elements that give birth to a hit.
It's a visceral kind of feeling. It's something that you personally love. I mean, that's how I experience it. Now, I don't know how Cynthia experiences it.
Yeah, I mean, the only way I can tell now is if I love it and want to hear it and can't wait to work on it and look forward to completing it and look forward to working with Barry on the demonstration record, and I don't get tired of it, then I feel this song has got something. If I feel this way about it, someone else is going to feel this way, too.
Just once, can we figure out what we keep doing wrong?
Their latest recording, Just Once, is the product of a fairy tale relationship between themselves, Quincy Jones, and singer James Ingram. And what is the secret to their success?
For some reason, we seem to write the kinds of songs that last.
And that touch people.
That touch a core in people that they relate to.
I'm Dean O'Lally.
This film's purpose is to examine a marriage, a modern marriage that's just about to come to an end. It tries to show us what can go wrong in an American family. I think it successfully accomplishes those goals. Shoot the Moon is a sensitive story of life, relationships, and jealousy. Albert Finney is a writer, George Dunlap, with a very bad and sometimes violent temper. He decides to leave his wife, played by Diane Keaton, and his 4 daughters. The other woman waiting with open arms for George is Karen Allen. The reasons for breaking up are nothing new. Finney and Keaton just can't make things work out. Finney is tired of family life, and he runs to Allen, who has a son of her own. Keaton tries to keep her life in order, with the oldest daughter helping, played very well by Dana Hill. Dana begins to hate her father, a hatred which she eventually works out. The film plays with your feelings as you try and figure out what each character wants. And Keaton ever so cleverly plays with Finney's jealousy. One night, Finney returns to the house to get some of his books, when Keaton gets a phone call.
Oh, well, I can't. There's somebody here right now.
Somebody?
No, Jerry. You go right ahead.
Jerry?
Oh, I can't though, Jerry. It's a stay-at-home kind of night, you know, washing the hair and everything. Huh? Next week? Well, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'll be here. Sure. Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah. Bye-bye, Jerry.
Oh, bye, Jerry. She plays out that phone call to the hilt. Finney's jealousy begins to emerge. Later, Frank Henderson arrives to build some tennis courts behind the house. He takes an interest in Keaton, and they later become involved. Finney is suspicious of Frank right off, but he really gets upset when he finds out Frank is building the courts. Finney still feels as if it's his house.
This is my house. I fixed up this house.
Well, you're not at this house anymore, George. Remember, you walked out feet first, or maybe there was something else preceding you.
This isn't your house yet.
George, it's getting late. The children have school tomorrow. We'll talk about this some other time, okay?
Finney is very believable as a complex and tortured man trying to figure out his life and feelings. Diane Keaton, I hate to say, just seems to play herself again, as she almost always does. The real surprise is Dana Hill. She has some powerful scenes and pulls them off like a real pro. And Karen Allen more or less has a thankless role. She does, though, deliver one of the most interesting and character-revealing lines in the whole film.
I love you. And if you don't come through, I'll find somebody else.
If that doesn't tell you anything about her, nothing will. Shoot the Moon does drag in a couple of spots, but there are some good surprises, good performances, and brilliant directing by Alan Parker. As a story of the family, jealousy, love, and hate, Shoot the Moon comes shining through the screen. I'm Dean O'Lally. Here we go again. It's another monster movie. If there's one thing I can't stand, it's a horrible horror movie. Nothing works in the Boogans. You won't like it at all unless you're a monster movie fanatic. Here's the storyline. There are some tentacle monsters living in a mine shaft. Those tunnels have apparently been closed off from the world since a disaster in 1912. A mining crew blasts open those tunnels, and from there our monster friends are free to come out and play. A small group of people are staying in a rented house which is connected to the mine. So, putting things together, you will probably figure out the majority of the movie is made up of the Boogans terrorizing the young people in the house. Sounds wonderful, doesn't it? You can tell the cast members are excited about it. There are some typical cheap thrills, dark scenes with a tentacle suddenly appearing out of nowhere. I asked some people in the theater what they thought of the Boogans. This lady said, "I was bored." This man said, "I felt as if I was being dragged down into the doldrums." And another man seemed indifferent to the whole picture. He just said, "I'm just hanging around." The technical credits are incredibly worthless. The cast is unnatural and awkward. So, I will suffice to say the Boogans don't do good, and that's it. I'm Dean O'Lally. Having disliked the Boogans, I didn't think I would like The Beast Within. But the movie surprised me. It is by no means a flawless film. There are some problems with the script, but it packs enough excitement and fright to get your money's worth. In 1964, while on their honeymoon, Ronnie Cox and Bibi Besh have car problems. He goes for help. She is brutally raped by some sort of a beast. Now we have to jump 17 years ahead. Cox and Besh now have a teenage son, played by Paul Clemens. He is very sick, and no one knows what's wrong with him. His mom and dad go back to the Mississippi town where she had been raped so many years before. They look for a link between the boy's illness and the brutal attack. Later, the boy starts feeling better, and then he goes through a hideous transformation. And that's the key to this film's success. The makeup and technical work which creates the human into beast change is excellent. Its effects rivals other films such as The Howling and American Werewolf in London. As the monster, Clemens goes on a rampage killing people. Some scenes are pretty gruesome. I must add that Clemens' acting is very good as both a sick boy and a monster. He's particularly good before the big transformation takes place. Here he has warned his girlfriend, Amanda, played by Kitty Moffat, to get out, and she just keeps asking questions.
I warned you. I warned you to go, Amanda.
Michael?
Amanda!
What's wrong? What are you doing? Michael? Michael, what's the matter?
Get away from me!
Michael? 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 Michael, why are you hiding?
The Beast Within works as a horror film. Some scenes will remind you of The Exorcist, but the Beast is strong enough to stand on its own 2 feet. The movie is worth seeing, although the Beast is the most gruesome, grotesque, and monstrous face I've seen in a long time. You will learn to hate that face. And it will remind you of someone else. I'm Dean O'Lally. If you're the type of person who likes extremely violent films, particularly the ones where some nut likes to torture and beat women, then you'll probably like Vice Squad. There are some people who like that kind of a movie.
What do you got in mind?
Well, I'm going to tell you. Vice Squad is based on true stories of the nightlife on Hollywood and Sunset Boulevards in Hollywood. You've got the adult bookstores, porno movie houses, massage parlors, prostitutes, and pimps. In Vice Squad, the story centers on one prostitute, a somewhat intelligent girl, Princess, played by Susan Hubley. She has to take to the streets to make a living and to support her little girl. She stays in another town. And right off the bat, here's one of the flaws in the script. Princess is a smart girl. She's amiable. I would have liked to know why she chose that line of work.
What you gotta do is ask.
I'm asking you, why didn't the film explore her character more? She could have done something else. And I felt as if the daughter was thrown in as a reference point to show Princess was not that bad. One of Princess's friends is murdered by her sadistic pimp, Ramrod. He's played by Wings Hauser. The Vice Squad cop who talks Princess into helping capture Ramrod is played by Gary Swanson. She does her duty, Ramrod is captured, but then escapes. And the rest of the movie is nothing more than a long chase with Ramrod trying to find Princess, who of course set him up.
Yeah, well, don't you worry.
I didn't. The film becomes dull and predictable. The acting is not that bad. I was impressed with the 3 main characters, Princess, Ramrod, and Walsh. The movie was filmed on location, which adds to the realism. Now, although I said Vice Squad is somewhat dull, there are some action-packed scenes, such as the end of the long night's chase.
6 Victor 10, where are you? What?
That's one way to kill your appetite. Vice Squad is rated R for its violence and language. I can't recommend the movie because I really didn't care what happened to the characters. They weren't interesting. Nothing worthwhile was explored. Nothing was handled right.
I don't think you can handle the time.
No one should handle the time to see Vice Squad. I'm Dean O'Lally.
I'm sorry.
I gave Arthur a favorable review back in August of 1981, and now that it has some Oscar nominations, it's been re-released. And so I would like to say to those of you who haven't seen it, you've got to go. Arthur is a very funny film starring Dudley Moore. The story is simple. Can a super rich drunk give up his childish ways and money to marry the girl he's in love with? Well, Dudley Moore has to decide that question. Dudley Moore he's who?
I am Arthur.
Oh, excuse me. Arthur, a man who most of the time is completely soused. He gets drunk to forget his problems and responsibilities. One of his problems is if he wants to continue receiving his inheritance of $750 million, he must marry a rich but dingy socialite played by Jill Elkenberry. But Moore meets Liza Minnelli. A poor working-class girl falls in love with her, and from that you can see the problems forming. One night, Arthur is blitzed and goes to a restaurant with the lady of the evening. And who should he run into but his aunt and uncle?
Princess Gloria, may I introduce my aunt and uncle, Peter and Pearl Bar?
How are you? Princess? Did you say Princess, Arthur?
Yes, yes. There's a very small country in the West Indies. I mean, small.
I see. Thank you.
Yeah. It's terribly small. Tiny little country. Rhode Island could beat the crap out of it in a war. That's how small it is.
Small?
Mm. Very little. It's 85 cents in a cab from one end of the country to the other. I'm talking small here.
We understand it's small, Arthur.
They recently had the whole country carpeted. This is not a big place.
We understand that it's small, Arthur, and we also understand that you are very drunk. So why don't we meet again when you're sober?
Yeah, all right, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't help it.
Grow up, Arthur. You'd make a fine adult.
Yeah, it's easy for you to say. You haven't got 50 pairs of short pants hanging in your closet.
That's a good point. Arthur is a fun-filled laugh fest, and although Dudley Moore is very, very good, the one man who steals the picture is Arthur's butler, portrayed by John Gielgud, with lines like these.
I'm going to take a bath.
I'll alert the media.
Hobson, this is Arthur.
Yes, how delightful to hear from you.
How about a pitcher of martinis?
No, thank you.
All right. So, for a good time to sit back and relax and to be entertained, see Arthur. Oh, it'll also make you laugh, like this.